Before I start, I just want to say thank you for your purchase at BudgetsMade. If you have any questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. This first sheet is going to be the instructions, which is going to be a step-by-step guide on how to access and edit the template. So this is going to give you important information about each tab on this sheet with brief little descriptions so that you have a pretty good understanding on how to use them. So I'll just scroll down here. As you can see, there's plenty more if you scroll down, but we're not going to explore that. Next up would be instructions 2. This is going to be a tab that's going to show you which cells you need or can edit in every tab of this template. The editable cells are highlighted for your convenience, so by following the highlighted cells, you can easily identify where to input your data across all tabs in this template. So if you just scroll down, as you can see, red boxes means you can edit these sections as well as over here, and over here. Next up, we'll go to our setup tab. First, we'll choose our currency. If your currency is not here, just press this little button right here. Add another item and then copy and paste it right in here and then press done. Next, you're going to select the year when creating the budget. So the year you input here will automatically be used throughout the other sections of this budget planner, including the monthly tabs, calendar tab, debt tab, and other relevant tabs. Over here is going to be the family members section. So you can enter up to 6 family members and will be available in the transaction tab under the spender and receiver columns and the 12 monthly tabs. This will help you track the spending of each family member. So since we're on the family financial bundle, they'll give you 6. If you were to have the couples financial bundle, you only have 2. And if it's just a personal, you wouldn't have to worry about this section. But for starters, we're just going to add the names here. So I'll just do John, Mary, and then Alex. For the next 3, I'll do Emma, Sophia, and then lastly, Michael. Next, we're going to go to our subcategories. So first, we're going to add our incomes. So I'm just going to do, for the first one, paycheck. Next one would be our salary. Next would be our wages. After that's done, we're going to add our savings. So I'll do stocks, mutual funds, and sinking funds. And as you can see, this is going to auto-populate. Next, we're going to do our expenses. So we'll do food and drink, groceries for the second one, and then lastly, we'll just do Walmart. So as you can see, this doesn't auto-populate, so we're going to have to decide whether it's a need or a want. So for food and drink, we'll do a need. Groceries would be a need as well. And then Walmart will be a want. Once this is done, we'll do our bills and subscriptions. So we'll just do electricity. Next, we'll do our rent. And lastly, we'll just do Netflix. Same thing as before, we have to decide whether it's a need or a want. So electricity is a need, rent is a need, and then Netflix is a want. And then lastly, we'll do our debt, in which we'll add a personal loan, a mortgage, and then an overdraft fee. As you can tell, this is also going to auto-populate. And then once this is all done, we're going to scroll down to set up our debt. We're going to choose our payment strategy, and it gives us 2 options. The debt snowball is a payment strategy which pays off the smallest debts first, which focuses more on quick wins and motivation, but it does not focus on any of the interest rates. For the debt avalanche, this pays off the highest rate first to save on interest costs over time, but more cost effective on the long run. So for starters, we'll just do snowball. You'll pick a start date, and we also have a monthly extra payment, which is optional. If you wish to accelerate your debt payoff, then specify a number. Next, we're going to add in our debts. So for this, I'll just do a credit card. I'll do student loans. And lastly, I'll do a mortgage. And then from there, I'll do the starting balances for all of them. So I'll do 5,000 for this, student loan for 10,000, then a mortgage for 30,000. A minimum payment for this, I would do $100, the student loan for 500, and then a mortgage for 1,000. Interest rates, I'll do 1% here, student loan for 2%, and a mortgage for 3%. I also provided a description box for any notes that you want to take. This is only optional as well, so please feel free to use this. We'll also have a graph of all your debts, a total balance of all your debts, and then the total monthly payments that you'll be making each month. Next, we'll go to the bank account section. Right, this is a section where we can log all of our bank accounts, including checkings and savings. So first, I'll do my Chase checkings account. Next, I'll do my Ally high yield savings account. And then lastly, I'll do my business account. From here, you're going to want to choose the account type for all of these. So for the Chase checkings, I'll do checking. My Ally high yield savings account would be for savings. And then lastly, business account would be for checkings. Next, I'll do the initial balance of the account when we start our budget. So I'll do 10,000 for the checkings, 5,000 for the high yield savings account. For the business, I'll do 20,000. Over here in this section where it says adjustments, you can make adjustments to the amount balance as needed. When making an adjustment, be sure to input the date of the last adjustment to keep your records up to date and accuracy. You'll also get a graph of all of your accounts. You'll get a total current balance, total balance checkings account, and then the total balance of your savings account. As you can tell, the total received and the total spent columns auto-populated with information due to me having to fill out from months from January to December. So as you proceed to input information from those tabs, these numbers will differ. As we scroll down, we'll go to our transferred between accounts section, where we can log transfers of money between accounts. This is useful for tracking transactions such as withdrawals, deposits, or transfers between accounts. So first I'll pick a date. I'll do August 22nd. What account I'm taking it from. So I'll do my Chase checkings and where this money is going to. So I'll do my Ally high yield savings account. The amount transferred, I'll do $1,000. And you can also put a description in this box. So for this example, I'll just do emergency fund. And then I'm going to scroll all the way up here. And as you can tell, my Chase checkings account has a starting balance of $10,000. And since I transferred money, which is going to be $1,000, it's going to reflect that. The current balance would be 9,000. For my Ally high yield savings account, the starting balance for 5,000 and I received $1,000. So now it's going to reflect that and be 6,000 instead. By accurately logging these details, you can keep track of all your financial movements and ensure your account remains balanced and up to date. So in this section is going to be our monthly dashboard for the month of January 2024. As you can see, some of the information's already been auto-populated from our setup tab from earlier. So if you just go back, all this information updated this sheet. So before I start, we do have other visuals that has not been updated. So once we start adding our planned expenses for each one of these and our transactions down here, we'll get a beautiful visual of our overall budget. So we're going to head over to the cash flow summary. We have a section that's called rollover. If you have a starting amount or a rollover amount from the previous month, please include them in both the planned and actual columns. This is able to ensure that these amounts are included into your calculations, so make sure to tick the box next to the rollover. So this is what it's going to look like. From that, you'll get a number here where it says left to budget for 2,000, left to spend for 5,000. But in this case, we're just going to uncheck that. All of the other categories such as income, savings, expenses, bills, subscriptions, and debts, those will be auto-populated through all the information that we give it. Next up would be our 50 to 30 20 budget rule. So this is where we're going to type in our percentages. So typically the rule of thumb for needs is going to be for 50%. Our wants are going to be for 30%. And then our savings and debts are going to be for 20%. So what our needs are going to be like housing, utilities, groceries, etc. Wants are going to be things such as dining out, traveling, having Netflix subscriptions, and then savings and debts are typically going to be like stocks, mutual funds, or any type of debt you might have. Normally, the 50-30% rule is a good rule of thumb, but if you have your own budget percentages that you may want to use, by all means, go ahead and change this. On the actual column, as we proceed to input information on this tab, this will give you an insight of how close you were with your budget percentages. Next, we'll go to our income. As from the previous tab, this has already been auto-populated for us, and then now we're just going to start inputting information. So for the income of this month, we are planning on receiving $2,000 for our check, salary at least 4,000, our wages I would say around 600, bonuses an extra 500, commission for 1500, and then any allowances, I'll just do 300 for now. For the actual tab, this will also auto-populate depending on what the information you put for the tab. Next, we'll go to our savings. The same thing as the income. We'll just start inputting information. So we are planning on saving 500 on stocks for the month, $600 for our mutual funds for the month, and then sinking funds at least $1,000. Same as before, this will auto-populate with the information given. If you do have a large amount of savings, you want to go to this little box right over here. You press OK, and then it's going to expand this whole sheet right over here, and you'll see the rest of your savings that you were unable to see at the front over here. Click this, press OK again, and it's going to close that. And then we're going to go to our expenses. Next. Now we're going to add our planned expenses. So for food and drink, I do 300, groceries for 300, CFA for 300, and then Walmart for 100, and then EDF for 500. And as you can see, this adds up to the total. As for the actual column, this will update when you input information down here. And you'll also get a progress bar down over here, as well as the total amount for your actual progress bar here as well. Next up would be the bills and subscriptions. Now we would have to find the due dates for each of these. So we're going to do, let's see, January for the electricity, we'll do the 2nd of January. For rent, we'll do the 1st of January. And then our Netflix subscription, we'll do the 3rd. And then we'll put our plan amount. So for electricity, we'll just do 200. Our rent for 2,500. And then our Netflix account for like 20 bucks. Same as the other one, we'll give you a total overview of how much was planned. The column right here will also auto-populate. It'll give you the total amount, as well as showing you a progress bar here and over here. If you were to cross this out by using this button right here, it's going to update that on the calendar tab. As you can see, it's crossed out. It's going to signify saying that the bill was paid off. Next, we'll head over to our debt section. We're going to do the same thing as before, and we're going to add a due date. So for the mortgage, we'll do the 5th of January, our loan for the 12th, our overdraft fee on the 19th, our credit card on the 26th, and then our student loan for the end of the month. Now we're going to add our planned amounts. So for the mortgage, we'll do 500, the loan for 300, our overdraft fee for 50 bucks, our credit card for 100, and then for the student loan, we'll do 200. Same as before, if you were to click this button here, only for debts and bills and subscriptions would be crossed out on the calendar sheet, depending on what month it is. It'll also give you the planned amount total down here, as well as the actual total, which will also auto-populate with the information at the bottom. It'll also give you a progress bar here, a progress bar right over here. Next, we're just going to go to the monthly transactions to fill in the rest. This is where you can input your transactions for the month and it will allow you to keep track of your financial activities. So for starters, we'll pick a date. So we'll do January 1st for the amount of $5,000. This amount would either be received or spent. Our category, which would be income. Our subcategory would just be for my paycheck. And this is going to auto-populate to say an income. Next, for the account that we're going to pick, it's going to be for our Chase savings. And then from here, it's going to be the spender or receiver. This is going to depend on what bundle you have. So this is only going to apply for the family and the couple's financial bundle. If you have the personal, this column will not exist. But for this example, we are going to pick one out of the 6 family members that we put on the setup tab. So for now, we'll just do John. I'll fill in some more for you. So for January 5th, we'll do an amount for 1,000 for another income as well. Our subcategory as our bonus. It's going to auto-populate as income. Next, this is going to go to our vacation fund. And then for the spender and receiver, we're going to pick Emma. And then for the next one, we'll do January 12th for 200. And on this one, we'll just do a debt. Right here, we're going to do our mortgage. And this is going to auto-populate as debt. From which account? It's going to be from our Chase savings account. For the spender, we'll do Mary. For the next one, we'll do January 19th. We'll do 300. We'll pick our expenses. From here, we'll do our groceries, and this is going to be labeled as a need. From which account, we'll just do our cash. And then for the next person, we'll do Sophia. So by maintaining an accurate and detailed transaction log, you can easily track and review your financial activities, ensuring all transactions are recorded and categorized correctly. So over here, you'll see a little graph of your top 20 spendings for the month. You'll see a balance overview or trend line throughout the whole month. If you scroll up over here, you'll get 3 charts, one of them being the plan and actual for the incomes, savings, expenses, bills and subscriptions, and debts. On this one would be your actual income breakdown. The next one would be your expenses breakdown. And over here would be how much money is left to budget. So it'd be 1,880. How much money is left to spend, which would be 5,500. This one is going to be your 50, 30, and 20 planned rule right over here. And then what your actual percentages are, depending on what information you inputted from the monthly transactions. In this section, we're going to talk about the bill calendar. You can customize your calendar to suit your needs. Here are some features you can adjust. You can change the month from January to December and it will update accordingly to reflect the chosen month. So just do February. For the start date, you have the option to change the start date of your calendar week. By default, the week starts on Sunday, but you can adjust it to your liking. So we'll just do, let's just for example, just do Monday. Down here, you can log the specific days on which you receive income, helping you remember when your income is received, and it's going to turn green. So for example, my paycheck, and then we'll pick the 9th of January, and as you can see, it turns green. Another example, for instance, if I'm promised to get a bonus at the end of the month, I'll just simply type bonus, and then the 29th of February, and as you can see, it also turns green. Please note this feature is optional and only for your convenience and it will not reflect on any data from the other tabs. You can also do some notes on the side here. This is optional so that you can remember things that are upcoming. It also displays the bills and the subscriptions as we input it into the monthly budget tab. As you can see, it says bills and subscriptions and the debts and the total payables, which is this amount plus this amount, which is going to give you this total amount. The calendar will automatically update and cross out paid bills received from your transaction tracker for the month. For example, we'll just go to the month of February and knock out the rent. We're going to go to the calendar, and as you can see, the rent is now officially crossed out. If you want to be able to print this out, you're going to want to go here, highlight this whole section. You're going to go to File, Print, go to where this section says Current Sheet, selected cells. For Excel, it's going to say Current Selection. And then next, you're going to do the landscape. For the scale, you do Fit to Page. And then from there on out, you just want to press Print. And that concludes our bill calendar. Today we'll talk about the Debt Snowball and Avalanche tab. The Debt Snowball strategy is a payment method which you pay off your debts from smallest balance to largest balance. As for the Debt Avalanche strategy, you pay off your higher interest debts first instead. In this tab, you can track up to 25 different types of debts, so follow along by this step-by-step instruction. First, you'll choose your currency here. It'll provide you 4 currencies, but if yours is not shown, just simply do a quick Google search, copy, and then paste that symbol into this box. So for now, I'll just do USD. For the start date, we'll choose a date from a couple months back to showcase how the tracker works. So I'll just go from January 1st, 2024. For the payment strategy, I'll just do a debt snowball. And then once everything's added, you go down here where it says debt name, and I'll start adding my debts. So credit card number 1 for a starting balance of $5,000, a minimum payment of $150, the annual interest rate, I'll do 18%. And then description wise, you don't necessarily need to put anything here, but for this case, I'll just do highest interest credit card. And then as for my next one, I'll do a student loan for a balance of 20,000, a minimum payment of $300, an annual interest rate of 4%, and then here I'll just do a federal student loan. Lastly, I'll do my personal loan for a starting balance of $10,000, and then for the minimum payment, I'll do 200. Annual interest rate for 8%, and then here I'll just put loan for home improvement. Once all the information's added, you'll get a visual of all your debts across the board. You also get a total monthly payment and a total balance of all the debts. Once the information is added, we're going to go to our debt calculator tab. And as you can see, all the information is now auto-populated to the entire sheet. It's going to say the total debt, total interest, our debt-free date, a visual of our overall debt balance, and then all of our debts from smallest to largest since we picked the debt snowball from earlier. If you remember, our credit card has a starting balance of 5,000, a minimum payment of 150, interest rate of 18%, interest owed for 1983 with 60 cents. Once your credit card is finally paid off, the last payment is going to go towards the personal loan, creating a snowball effect. If you want to be able to speed up this process, we're going to go to the Setup tab, and let's say we want to add an additional $300 on top of our monthly payments already. So we're going to do $300. We're going to go back to our debt calculator. Now our debt-free date has changed, but if you want to be able to adjust this number, we're going to go under the payment summary. So let's say for the month of January, we were short of the $300 plan, but we were only able to contribute $200. So we'll just do the difference from between that, which would be minus 100. Saying that now we go over here saying that we were short $100. But let's say in the month of February, we were able to contribute $500 instead of the planned $300. So now we'll just do the difference from that, which would be $200, which would signify that we are up $200. So just remember to keep track of all your debts and using this tool to better your financial freedom. Today we'll talk about the Home Affordability tab. It uses common strategies to figure out how much home you can afford, such as taking a percentage of your gross income, using your debt to income ratio, the gross income multiplier, and also taking a percentage of your net income. Before we start, we'll just choose our currency here. If your currency is not shown, click this button, add another item, and then you're going to want to copy and paste here. And from here, we're going to start inputting our information. So we'll go to household income. We'll enter our gross income, which is our before tax, which we'll do 200,000. Next would be our net income, which would be after tax for 127,500. Next, we'll type in our specific percent of our income that we plan to allocate to housing expenses. So this is before tax, we'll do 28%. Then we'll do 25 for after. Lastly, we'll add our gross income multiplier, which is used to estimate your affordability based on your gross income. So here, I'll just do 5. Now we go to our household expenses. So this is pretty much saying that once we're homeowners, these are some of the expenses that we'll have. So here, I'll do 400. Next, for utilities and bills, I'll do 100. Homeowners insurance, I'll do $200. For private insurance, I'll just do $30. And other housing expenses, I'll do 235, which then our total expenses would be 965. Next, I'll do our monthly debt, which I'll do our student loan for $500. Lastly, for our car loan, I'll do 125, and this will give us a total of 625. From here, I'll just go toward our mortgage information. For the loan term, I'll do 25 years. For the annual interest rate, I'll do 5%. The closing cost would be 2%, and the minimum required down payment would be for 25%. Then we'll go to the down payment breakdown. For this question, it says sell your first house. We'll just say yes for this example. Our current mortgage is going to be for 173,000. Our house value is going to be for 450,000. The broker commission is going to be for 2%, and then our closing costs would also be 2%. Lastly, the percent of debt to income ratio is going to be for 36%. As you can see, once the info is inputted, the charts on the right side and the company table will auto-populate to display the best home price for you can afford. With this feature, it can help you make an informed decision about home affordability by considering relevant financial factors. Today, we're going to talk about the emergency funds tab. It has several sections, so let's talk about it. First, you're going to want to choose your currency. If your currency is not shown, you're going to want to add that, add another item, and then paste it here. Next would be the number of months to cover. It's usually set to 6 months already, but if you want to change it, we have a wide selection. Or if you want to save for a specific amount, you're going to want to type it into this box. Our planned amount, the fund goal, fund balance, and the amount of progress you've made, and then a visual to represent that. Next would be our distribution chart showing each component of your fund, as well as the plan and actual contribution visual. To use this tracker, you're going to want to enter your expenses, the amount, and any adjustments you wish to make to that amount. The other two columns will auto-populate, so let's add some expenses. So we're going to do groceries, rent, and then say a car insurance. So let's say we find out that our planned amount for groceries was too high, so we're going to adjust it to be $50 lower. As you can see, the dashboard begins to update, showing the fund goal. If we change the number of months, the fund goal amount changes to a different number, so we're going to change it to 9 months, as you can see. Our current progress hasn't updated, so we're just going to change that by going over to the contribution tracker. We're going to enter a date of contribution, so we're going to go to August 7th. So let's say we budgeted $500 for the month, but then later on we find out we were only able to contribute only 400. Now the dashboard begins to update and we started to make some progress. Over time, fill out your dashboard with all of your expenses and begin to track all your contributions. Have fun saving for an emergency fund. Today, we're going to talk about the investment calculator tab. It can estimate the return up to 5 investments. Warning, this is not financial advice, so please seek professional financial advice from an advisor for all investments. First, what we're going to do is we're going to choose our currency. If it's not shown here, we're going to go here, here, and then we're going to copy and paste our currency here. Next, we would pick our start date. So for this example, we'll just do August 2024. Next would be the estimated number of years. So the max is going to be 50 years, but for this, we're just going to do 30. Right here is going to be a visual of all of our investments, and then what's left is we're going to start adding them down here. So we're do for first, we're going to do stocks. For an initial investment of 50,000, our estimated annual ROI would be 8%, and then our monthly investment would be 500. Next would be our real estate. For initial investment for 50,000, and then our estimated ROI would be 5%, and then our monthly investment for $1,000. Then as you can see, it's going to auto-populate on our sheet. Over here is going to show us the overview of our two investments. So this is the amount that will be estimated over the 30 years, our total initial investment for 100,000, our total monthly investment for 1,500, and then the average ROI for 6%. Here is going to show us the total investment that we've put in, so 640,000. The total interest accumulated over the 30 years for 1.5 million, and then the estimated ROA for 249%. In this graph, the green shading is going to be the total investment that we put in, which is the 640, and the shaded part right here is going to be the total interest accumulated over the 30 years, as well as all the information is going to be shown down over here. If you want to see them separately, they're going to be right over here. So it's going to show that our stocks, our real estate. So if you remember, our initial investment was 50,000, our monthly investment was 500, and the rate of return of investment is 8%. And this is going to be our estimated balance over the 30 years. Same thing, it's going to give us the total investment, interest accumulated, and the estimated ROI. So let's say that we want to make an adjustment to our monthly contribution for our stock investment. We go over here where it says adjustment, and then for the month of August 2024, we were only able to contribute $400 of the planned 500. So we'll just click here, we're gonna do minus 100, and now it's gonna say 400, and then all the numbers are gonna auto-populate. But let's just say for the month of September, we were able to double our monthly contribution. So it would be 500, and now it's gonna say $1,000, which is going to reflect on this. This sheet is a great tool to understand your investments over time and make sure to adjust those contributions when needed. Today we'll talk about the net worth tab. The tab gives a complete overview of your net worth month over month. You'll see some charts here showing trends of your net worth, asset and liabilities distribution, and total assets compared to total liabilities. The dashboard captures your net worth depending on what month you choose. The tracker allows you to change the date so you can see progress made throughout the year. So we'll just do with January 1st, 2024. You can also track up to 30 assets and 25 liabilities. Before we start, select your currency. If your currency is not shown, click this button, add another item, copy and paste that symbol here. We'll begin entering our current net worth in the start field. At the end of each month, enter the updated net worth. For example, we'll do our Chase bank account underneath the cash and bank account section. Next, for investments, we'll do our Robinhood trading account. And lastly, for other assets, we'll just do art. Now we'll fill in our starting balances for each one of these. So we'll just do 20,000. Our Robinhood trading account for 50,000. And our art worth is going to be $1,000. Now we're going to scroll down to our liabilities. Now we'll go to our short-term debt and we'll add a personal loan to that. And then for our long-term debts, it's going to be a student loan. And once that's added, we'll do our balances for these. So this one's going to be for 5,000. Our student loan is going to be for 30,000. Assume that we reach the end of January. We'll enter the balance for each asset and liability. For our Chase account, it's going to be for 25,000. Our Robinhood trading account is going to be around 75,000. And then our artwork is going to be valued at 1,200. For our liabilities, the personal loan is going to go down to 4,500. And then our student loan is going to go down to 25,000. As the year progresses, you will continue to fill in the balances at the end of the month. The asset and liability distribution represents the month selected. As for the net worth and liability and asset chart, will show you the yearly overview. You'll also get a whole overview of the total assets, total liabilities, and then your entire net worth. So total assets is this minus this to get this, and you'll get your year-to-date progress, which in terms right now would be 99%. Today we'll be talking about the Sinking Funds tab. You can track up to 25 funds for various savings goals. It includes a goal amount, the total monthly payment, how much is left to save, and how much you've saved already, as well as a progress bar showcasing all the progress of all your funds. This over here is the funds distributions of all your goals. Next to it is a graph showcasing all your funds progress and how much is left. Everything's gonna be visually appealing once all the information is added. But before we do anything of that, let's go here, choose our currency. If your currency is not shown, click this button, come over here to where it says add another item, copy and paste it here. And then once that is done, we're gonna start adding our sinking funds. Now we're gonna add our sinking fund. So our first one is gonna be a vacation fund with a goal amount of $6,000. Our monthly goal is gonna be 200. And then our starting amount will be 1,000. Our last sinking fund is going to be education fund for a goal amount of 10,000 and a monthly goal of 750 with the starting amount for 2,500. And then once that information is added, you can see that all of these columns have been auto-populated. So you'll get to see how much you've saved so far, how much is left to save, how many months are left, and then your exact end date of the fund, and then your current progress in percentage wise. Now we'll go over to the contribution tab. On this tab, it'll show you all your funds in progress. It's also going to show you the funds goal, total monthly payment, how much is left to save, how much you've saved so far, and then the total global progress of all the funds. If you want to be able to update a specific sinking fund, you're going to want to go under the contribution tracker. You're going to click here on the date. So let's just say on August 14th. We'll select our vacation fund for the amount of 500. And as you can see, the vacation fund is now newly updated with the information given here. Let's do the same thing for our education fund. We'll do the August 23rd. And let's say we were able to save $1,000. And now this is fully updated. I'll give you the goal amount, saved amount, how much is left, how many months are left, and then the end date, which would be June 8th, 2025. So just make sure to keep track of all your contributions and knocking down all those sinking funds. In this section, we'll go over the annual dashboard and annual totals tab, which is auto-populated based on the information you input in the monthly tabs from January to December. The section provides a summarized view of your income and expenses for the entire year. So for the annual dashboard, it gives an overview of your financial performance, highlighting key metrics and trends from your monthly data. So it's going to give you a chart of your total income versus your total expenses on a month-to-month basis. Next up would be a financial summary of all your expenses. The next chart would be explaining the annual planned budget versus what you actually did. The next would be the averages of all your savings and debts, wants, and needs, as well as giving you a breakdown on a month-to-month basis for each one of these. Next, you'll get a top 10 annual spending throughout the whole year, so you'll see how much you spent on each category, and as well as a distribution chart telling you where your money went and percentage wise is, and as well giving you an annual income, annual savings, annual expenses, the bills and subscriptions, and the total debts. Next up will be the annual household tab. This one's going to be the same as the last one, but it gives you an overview of your household financial performance and distributions amongst all the members of your family. So it shows income distribution, total income versus total expenses, a financial overview of all the expenses, expense distributions for each one, as well as an annual household summary for the income, savings, expenses, bills and subscriptions, debt. You'll see the charts here. And if you want to check for a specific month, you'll click here. Let's do the month of April. And as you can tell, the information is going to be updated to that specific month. Next up will be the annual totals tab. This section is a collection of all your monthly data, presenting a comprehensive summary of your total income and expenses over the year. So it's going to show you the annual 50, 30 to 20 summary, the annual income and expenses summary for all of these, your annual income summary, so like paychecks, salary, wages, bonuses, commissions, allowances, any rollovers that you had, annual expenses summary, so it'll be like stocks, loan, food and drink, eating out, credit cards, mortgages. By using these summaries, you can easily track your financial progress, identifying patterns, and making informed decisions for future budgeting.